I'm Jack Rickard. This is Electric Vehicle Television, and I have with me today a special guest, my compadre and consigliere, El Breno Noto.
Hey, it's good to be special.
Well, you are special. You're kind of regular here, but still
special. Thank you.
Let's do a quick and dirty show this week.
Okay.
I did 3 hours last week.
I know
Even
you did.
I was tired of it.
I watched it. It was like, oy vey. Thanks for watching.
But I couldn't resist you guys fumbling around with the boat and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And,
boat fiasco.
You know, that should have been cut down to nothing, except I had so much fun watching it, especially at 8x speed.
Yes, exactly. And we may need it if there's a lawsuit.
To it. And I was up till 11 o'clock at night Saturday editing. Usually I'm done by noon, but that was a long day.
Yeah, you got that down now to a science.
Well, I didn't then. 3 hours. So we're going to talk about electric vehicles, not just about us, but we don't have a whole lot this week, but there's some things
There's some stuff out there.
Talk about.
Yeah.
We traditionally start off with Tesla, of course.
We do.
They hit $270 this morning, and on the NASDAQ. Let's see, I've got just a bunch of little stuff. Really a lot of things going on in China.
Okay.
My wife has a kid in one of her classes named Kirk from China.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, Southeast University is a big destination school for Chinese.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a lot of Chinese students, yes.
We're not real big on entrance requirements.
And as long as they're paying full boat.
As long as they pay full boat. And full boat is less expensive here than almost anywhere. Yeah. And so we have, and they've gone to China and marketed this as being a cheap college that's not hard to get into in the States. And that's been a strong message in China. So we get a lot of Chinese students. One of them that was a regular at Sunday dinner, Violet, now works at Alibaba.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, nice.
I had some problems with a PC board vendor, and Cook's dad's a lawyer in China.
Oh, really?
So I told Kirk about it. He gave Pop an email, and the next thing I know, it's all getting straightened out.
It's all getting better, huh?
Yeah, apparently they don't like lawsuits in China. So that happened, but I did talk to him about electric cars, and it was exactly as I have described it. They have 20 million electric bikes.
Okay, yeah.
Because you can take them up in the apartment.
They go in the elevator. Yeah.
His dad bought a place to park a car for $13,300.
Oh, man.
U.S.
Yeah, wow.
And he thinks he stole it.
Oh, wow. 13
Now, what
grand.
parking they do have, while expensive, they don't have big parking lots because they think that looks bad.
Oh, really?
So they're underground parking.
Okay.
But they don't have any charging infrastructure with them.
Okay.
And there's not really a good way to put it in once it's built.
Yeah. How do you run all that?
Caverns.
Yeah. How do you run all that? Yeah.
And so the problem with electric cars in China is not that people don't want electric cars. It's that they don't have any place to park them.
Yeah.
And they don't have any place to charge them. They have to have a charging infrastructure like the filling stations.
Okay. Yeah.
You have to go someplace
there,
and charge.
Yeah.
And that kind of implies fast charge, and it makes me wonder why they're not more aggressive on that. Tesla has just done a deal. Unfortunately, China is spending $16 billion in government money on charging infrastructure.
Really?
They've just announced.
That is significant, yes.
Tesla has done a deal with a company over there to put in 400 fast charging stations. And, or maybe it's 400 just charging stations. It was a little unclear.
Okay, okay.
You know, they had some guys that just set up their own private network.
I remember that.
Tesla gave them the equipment, and they just like signed people up, put them down, and made a little plug-in network. Tesla's now done an official deal with a company who is doing the installation and providing the real estate.
Oh, really? Wow.
For 400 charging facilities in China. And so Tesla's going to provide the equipment, they're going to install it and pay for the electricity, and there's no cost for real estate in the deal.
Nice.
That's pretty nice.
That's pretty nice, yeah.
In the U.S., Tesla is doing deals rather quietly because, again, the Model S is kind of an upscale vehicle. So they're going after hotel chains like the Ritz-Carlton,
okay,
my personal favorite, the Westin,
okay,
and so forth. They're going to have 106 hotel chargers almost immediately. Now, these are not going to be fast chargers. They said they were big enough to do 58 miles of charge in 1 hour. That looks like 85 amps at 240 volts.
That's pretty significant, though. Yeah.
So that's like a regular Tesla charger you have in your home.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going on with Tesla. Of course, the big chit-chat remains about the Giga battery plant.
Right, about the Gigafactory.
Come to $100 a kilowatt hour, which would be $8,500 for the Model S at 85 kilowatts.
Yeah, significant.
But I hope they get there.
Sure.
That would eventually it all trickles down to us.
Right.
The guys at the bottom of the pond.
I'm just waiting for it to fall off
and
the
about
tree.
the only ones that know what to do with it. And so that's
nice.
That's all pretty good. What's you had some stuff on charging or incentives?
Yeah, and I had one little thing on Tesla that there was a slide that Javier Verdura had done in their conference call at the beginning of the month, and it showed one change. Still showed doing top speed 130 miles an hour, range 265, whatever. One acceleration 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
How'd they do that?
Well, and it was 4.2. So Elon apparently was quizzed by one of the analysts, and he said that the Model S has gotten steadily lighter over time. A pound here, a pound there, but they are saying that they have brought it down about 500 pounds.
That's actually an immense amount of weight to shave off a pound at a time.
Yeah.
But good work if you can get it done. Bill Lear says build-in lightness.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, he was aviation, but an inventive genius. He actually started, he founded Motorola.
Yeah.
And what Motorola was a company. Bill Lear figured out how to put a radio in a car and not have the ignition noise interfere
all the
with
interference,
radio.
yeah.
And that became Motorola, his first company. He invented the 4-track and thus the 8-track tape player,
Gotta
which
love
kept
those.
me in music
That's
in
right.
the early 1970s. That's what you had in your car.
Yep, absolutely, big 8-track.
And you tried to keep 6 or 8 tracks melting on your dashboard
every now
at
and
any
then.
time.
Every now and then I have to I remember sticking a book of matches underneath it to get it at the right angle to the head and to lift it sometimes. Yeah, the old 8-track.
The 8 tracks. Bill Lear invented that, but of course later the Learjet.
Yes.
And one of his basic tenets was build-in lightness. In the OEM area, Brian, I think the ultimate electric car is way along yet from showing up, but I would point you to the BMW i3 as the harbinger of things to come. Basically, all design trade-offs made in the last 100 years in the context of inexpensive gasoline engines.
Right. Didn't matter. Yeah.
Have to be revisited.
Yeah.
And my nemesis, the most disgusting single element on the planet, is of course iron or steel.
Steel, yeah.
It tries to return to dirt as soon as you finish bringing it out of the steel plant.
That's right.
And it's relentless in its pursuit of becoming dirt.
Becoming dirt again, that's right.
And we're finding this out, particularly on the Karmann Ghia.
We did. We found a lot of dirt.
You played a bit with the steering box.
I did.
And it went even beyond the steering box.
Yeah, it had infiltrated everywhere. The steering box was rusted and no oil in it. That might have helped a little bit to keep it from oxidizing, but it was pretty bad.
But even the things holding on the steering box.
Yes, even the things holding on.
You wound up out there with a map torch.
Yes, trying to get them on,
rusted.
And I can't reuse the bolts or whatever. I'm going to go to buy some nice grade 8 bolts this weekend.
Let's take a quick look. The Karmann Ghia was essentially completed to make rolling at the EVcon.
Yes.
By the people who were standing around, unable to get a wrist into the crowd around the smart car. Helped Jesse with the Karmann Ghia and got it running ably. A couple of issues. One, I found the steering a little vague. Jesse found it later completely disconnected.
We missed the parade.
I'm glad we didn't hit anything. Yes. Some transmission issues, but let's see what you've been doing since.
All right.
Back to the long-suffering Karmann Ghia.
It's back.
The project that keeps on giving.
It does.
We did, with some help from our friends at EVcon 2014, got this rolling.
Yes,
that's
we did.
The good news.
That's the good news, yes.
The bad news is it drove like a 1930 garbage truck. And we're a little lost as to why. I would say the steering was beyond vague, and we later learned we didn't have any.
We really didn't have any steering, no.
And there is some mystery. We have purportedly a Rancho VW transmission that's the same as the Duh, except it goes 46 miles per hour in first gear. How does that work?
It does some RPM, I'll tell you.
So what do we got going here, Bring?
Well,
ongoing work.
In order to alleviate the steering problem, we did find, this is a Volkswagen steering box. This is a Brazilian TRW, which is just fine. They're 120, 130 bucks on the web. We found ours had not only rust, but no gear oil in it.
So it was empty of oil, full of rust.
Yes.
But it didn't matter. The shaft wasn't connected to it anyway, but about every third turn.
Yeah, every now and then it would catch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll...
I'm out test driving this car. I'm an old man, Brian. You got to look out after me, man. You shouldn't.
I was having fun, guys.
That was not okay.
that was me bad, right? My bad.
And later in the parade, Jesse couldn't steer at all.
That's what I heard.
It scared me to death.
Completely lost steering.
So we're going to have a new part.
Yes.
A new steering box.
Yes.
And it's going to steer like a 1973 Ford Pinto rack and pinion.
Or a 1974 Karmann Ghia.
Well, yeah. Which isn't
we can only do what we can do.
Best steering I ever had was in a 73 Pinto. Anyway, let's get that in. What is this? Looks like a monster heat exchanger or something.
This is our condenser for the air conditioning. We got this from Ed at Gilmore Enterprises. He's been doing this for, I don't know, 20-some, 30 years for VWs and Porsches and for kit cars as well. And he'll normally have the entire kit where you have the compressor, and he has it whether you do dual carbs, single carbs, fit custom with the belt and everything, and we'll do the under the dash evaporator. But we're doing the everybody's seen the vintage air evaporator, and we've got the Chinese compressor that we're using, exactly, electric compressor. So this was really all we needed from Ed, and this is made to, within reason. Every little car is different, and we'll see how our frame is with our guys.
This is actually supposed to be fitted to a Karmann Ghia.
This is a little wider, because the Karmann Ghia pan is 4 inches wider than a normal bug pan. So a bug one would be a little bit different from this.
And where does this go?
This goes right where the inspection covers are for the torsion arms in the rear. So it's right at the transmission, in front of the
a little in front of the
little bit in front of the shock mounts and things. Yeah, right at the transmission area.
Okay. That's a dangerous place for rocks, but we will pay the price. If you recall, the criteria here was to demonstrate electric air conditioning.
Yes.
And electric heat. in a Karmann Ghia that never had any good air conditioning or any good heat.
No.
And if you think this will do it, that's what's one of these puppies cost?
I believe that his retails about $449 for this.
Well, as I said, we'll pay the price. We want air conditioning.
We want air.
We have a coupe. All our small cars are convertibles, and they're not year-round cars.
No.
The only thing I have that I can go in the winter or the summer is an Escalade that's 8,000 pounds, takes 1,100 watts per mile in town.
It
does. I'm thinking that a small coupe with roll-up windows that had heat and air conditioning would be the order of the day.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
I see you've got hoses and fans.
Yeah,
for
we've
the
got
vintage air
coming out of our vintage air. So this is both our heat exchanger for both our air conditioning high and low fittings will go here. Our water fittings are below that. These three up here are for heat. These two go to our defrosters, and below it are two more ports that will go right in front of us to blow warm air or cold air onto our legs.
Ah, okay.
And it will mix. It's got controls. It's got three fan speeds. It's a really nice unit.
Okay, well, good. That's what we want to do is put. This is something we've struggled with in the past. We've gained a little bit of expertise with our hot start.
Yeah. And the hot start will be right here.
And we will have a hot start and a little PID temperature controller and a pump
goes up
and
right
so
there.
forth, for hot water. And we're going to somehow have that wired up to a switch on the vintage air where you turn on the heat and it'll turn all that on.
Yes.
Excellent. And then we turn on our compressor from a switch on there too?
Yes.
Okay. And then the compressor, we have some sort of an adjustment as to how much it
is putting out. Yes.
We'll just have to do that by
we'll have to do that
trial and error.
And set that up. Yes.
And of course we'll have Norman or Earl, or what's his name?
Norman's air conditioning. They always do it for us. Yep.
Yeah.
Have them plumb this.
Have them run the hoses and fill it.
Yep. Yeah, we've got our dryer is here under the wheel well right here.
I think we're on our way. My concern is I'm just almost certain that transmission's not right.
Well, we just have to pull it out and have them inspect it.
Get me some steering. We'll do some further drives.
That's exactly.
and make sure. But Brian said the AC 75 is it that you used? Well, it just wasn't right with it. The curve, and I printed them out for him, on the AC 75 and the AC 50, not a very different profile. More torque on the 75, but it extends easily as far as the AC 50 because you're at a higher voltage.
Right,
and so everything should work better. Speedster Dub, by going to the 344 from the 388, instead of wrapping up at 5,000 RPM at 8 miles an hour, we were able to go, I would say, 13 or 14 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It still was not a comfortable gear in town, but it started to make sense.
Right, you could use it. Yeah.
And so, purportedly, we got a transmission for this identical to Duh. I'm not sure we didn't go with the original transmission. Are you sure we ordered one from Rancho for this car?
Yeah.
Then I think they put the wrong gears
They might have put the wrong gearing in it.
And let's get the numbers off of it and check with them. But we need the Duh gears in this thing. And unfortunately, these VW electric cars, that means pulling most everything out to get it. But
to drop it,
we might be able to get that motor out from underneath and the transmission without having to. I like the way he's got the back end laid out. It's pretty nice.
It does. Jesse did a nice job.
And so it shouldn't be too bad. But remember, we had to do that with Duh because it kept popping out of third gear.
It did.
And they had forgotten a part at Long Racing.
Yes.
And that was the end of Long Racing here. Rancho, we've always had great luck with.
Yeah, they did great builds.
I'm really surprised if this is an issue. But in any event, it's got to be made right. But I'm not even going to test drive it till you get
Until
some
the steering
on
box is in. Okay.
And so stay with us. Karmann Ghia continues into another year of EVTV. But by next EVcon, we need to have this car finished, right?
Oh, all right.
Stay with us.
It's the never-ending project, the project that keeps giving.
This is like the project from hell.
It just keeps giving.
Yeah,
We'll get it. But I do like that the condensing unit from Gilmore Enterprises. Yeah, new steering box. So we'll get all that squared away.
Air conditioning. When I look at the size of the fan you have in that central system, and of course we're trying a new Chinese. Actually, we've had it.
We've had that compressor for some time. Yeah.
Chinese compressor.
Yes.
And then with the size of that condenser, air conditioning is basically you can have as efficient air conditioning as you want to pay for.
Right.
And where you pay for it is not in the compressor, it's in the condenser. The larger the condenser, the more efficient your air conditioning will be.
Yeah.
Air conditioning, most of you know this. My explanation of it I've become delighted with. It ignores the phase change of the gases that readily go to liquid and back to gas, such as Freon, which does add to it. But you can have an air conditioner made out of air. If you take air and you compress it a certain amount, I've discovered this fighting moisture out of air compressors.
Yes.
The temperature of the air goes up rather dramatically.
As you compress it.
As you compress it. Then if you store it and cool it off, then when you release it, it blows very cold, and it'll actually ice up your stuff because it's then raining water into your tools.
Oh, yeah.
And if you take this to its logical extreme, we know that if you compress a gas, it rises in temperature. If you decompress a gas, it falls. So what we do is compress it, then run it through a heat exchanger, let's call it a condenser, return it to ambient temperature by removing the heat. And now when we release the pressure, we get our temperature gain back in reverse.
Yeah.
So if we compress the air to where it goes up 40 degrees, and then we remove the 40 degrees back to ambient through the condenser or the heat exchanger, when we release it, we get our 40 degrees back.
Yeah.
But we've already reduced it 40 degrees. So if we have 80-degree air, we compress it to 120 degrees, return it to 80, and decompress it, we get 80 minus 40 or 40-degree air, which is about what air conditioning does.
Yeah.
There is a phase change in certain materials that some are easier than other, ammonia for one, but we use Freon.
Yeah, ammonia was a problem.
And so it's really, your efficiency is not about your compressor. It takes energy to compress it from that 80 degrees to 120.
Sure.
You can make more air conditioning by compressing it from 80 to 160 degrees. Takes more energy.
Takes more energy, sure.
However, the quicker you get it through that heat exchanger and get it all the way back down to 80, and with small condensers, you're maybe down to 95.
Okay, yeah.
Minus 40 is 55.
55.
And so the condenser, so you had this big double condenser
It
that's
is.
going to go all the way across the bottom of the car.
Yes.
Ignoring for the moment the possibilities of gravel and curbs.
We'll just sit in there and stay cool.
If I don't tear it out, it should cool the car very well. And so I like your design that you're pulling together on the air conditioning. I do want to be able to steer it.
Yes.
And I fear we have a transmission mystery.
Yeah, we do have a little transmission mystery.
That needs to be solved. Were you able to call?
I called. He's going to look it up. Sam wasn't there. I only wanted to talk to the owner. Yeah.
So
everybody else, if they did something wrong, might start hiding the facts from him.
We have kind of oddly, with all these neat projects around with the boats and different things, have gone back to things.
Yes. The things
Let's
everywhere.
take a look at the yellow thing first.
Okay.
We have gone thing.
We have. We are gone thing crazy.
We've started the green thing for the UQM Power Phase 100, and we still have this one, another project that we revisit things quite often. I have to kick my leg way up to go over the sill.
It's got a high. It's got a high sill.
My period with the Rockettes was kind of in the past. I don't have that.
Not doing a high kick anymore?
I don't have the high kick I once had. And the paint suffering on that side of the thing.
Wearing out the paint.
We got the new green thing, and it has this beautiful running board. And I asked Brian to take it off and have some made because they're just not available. He said, au contraire, they are available. And here we got some.
We did, yes.
What's the story?
The Thing Shop. The Thing Shop has Thing running boards.
This is what I like about cult cars. Cars with the following. You know that little Metropolitan has 14,768 parts in it, and they have a guy that has availability on all 14,768 of them. You can get any part you want.
That's amazing.
For it. Yeah. But the thing has 2 years in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's surprising what you can get.
Yeah.
These were normally for the Acapulco model.
Yeah, that's what I understand, that they were for them, that they were for the Acapulco.
But you've got a plan to put them up here.
Yes. Yeah, they are. Well, what you end up doing is drilling a hole in each one of these fenders for this support right here, and then come up from the bottom into the body. These are actually drain holes, so we don't want to clog those up or use them. And we're going to change it a little bit. We actually learned a little on the green thing. Jesse was looking at it, and they use it almost looks like the top of a shock absorber mount right here between it. So it really secures it, and then you can use all 8 of these locating points to really stiffen these up. So if you are going to stand on them, then we want to make sure that they're braced up.
I'm down to 294, but it's still a lot. And the idea is I step up on the sideboard and then do a abbreviated kick into the footwell, and that's my hope.
And then you're on your way.
But then, of course, the black running boards, I think, really set off the look of the VW thing as well. So there's that. We have one other minor refinement. We are now a distributor for the low-car pedal.
Yes, we are.
And we had a kind of a Chinese pedal in there. I like those pedals, and they're inexpensive at $149. They've got a good full throw, but we've had failures, mostly when Leadfoot's go racing.
Yes.
He finds that it lets go of the shaft.
Yes, it does. Things break.
And so Low Car has got a very stout billet aluminum pedal set that we've taken on. Now we have 2 versions, the Ford and the Mopar, which is Chrysler.
Yeah, well, I guess we got 3. We've also got the GM one from the
We do have
the Cadillac, right?
Some actually a Corvette.
Yeah, okay.
Thing that I had to buy some connectors for.
That's right.
We've got a few of those. We're not going to carry them long term, but it's kind of a big pedal, and we have a few of them. But we're going to have 4 different pedal styles and 2 different modules.
Right, right.
Actually, the modules are exactly identical. This was the Low Car guy trying to explain all this to us, and it was easier to just go ahead and buy
just
them
get it the way
than argue with them.
Okay.
He has 2 wiring harnesses that have different colored wires to hook into the Chrysler or the Ford. We don't care about any of that.
No,
crap.
that's right, because they've got a stock wiring harness. Yeah.
They are going into stock wiring harnesses. Yeah. We're not.
No.
So I've done little diagrams of the pinout of it, and you order either one.
That's right, whatever makes you happy.
Unless you're actually putting it in a Chrysler or a Ford as a replacement for the factory pedal, it doesn't matter. For EV guys, you want to use the accelerator position sensor signal number 1, but it does have 2 available.
It does.
For example, the JevQ will let you use 2 for safety, and so. But I'm really only using 1 of them. But it really dresses the thing up. It is a much shorter throw and stiffer. It feels very good, very quality. I would say the shorter throw makes it a touch touchy. If you like a really responsive car, this is going to feel great.
Yeah.
But you have a little shorter throw of the pedal to do your basically 0.5 volts to 4.5 volt input into the JevQ. We did have to readjust it. Instead of a raw ADC number and 95 on the bottom, I think we went up to 250 or something, and the top stayed the same. We had it done in 5 minutes.
Okay, to
and
recalibrate
it. Drive.
Yep. Cool.
The only thing I'd say is if you kind of bounce, if you let your foot bounce, you get into kind of this oscillation thing, bouncing the car.
Yeah.
And I found that surprising, as stiff as the pedal was. But I quickly learned to drive without it. But it is a touchier pedal, stronger feel, but a much higher quality unit.
Yeah, really, really beautiful.
And they're non-trivial in expense. I think close to $500.
Yes, they are.
But and we still have the good old standby $149 Chinese Hall effect pedal.
We do.
We've done a lot of builds with that.
We've done a lot with them, yeah.
And of course the Evnetics throttle pot.
Yes.
Increasingly, I think a lot of people on more modern cars, as we did on the Escalade, are just stealing the output of the. Almost all the new cars are drive-by-wire.
Drive-by-wire, sure. Yeah.
And they're all 0 to 5 volts that I can find. So it's less of a thing when you're doing an old car like this. But that low car is kind of the hot rod.
Oh, absolutely.
Look.
Yeah.
You know, these guys do stuff for custom cars, and they've got the bling down to jewelry.
Yeah, it's
so it's a big bite at $400 or $500 for one, but that's your interface to your electric car. Actually.
Yeah, it is. That's it.
That's where the pedal meets the metal.
That's right.
Actually, so to speak.
Yes.
And so I think it's worthwhile bit of bling that really dresses up.
Making electric boats isn't just making boats cleaner, it's making boats better. Being out in an electric boat means you can enjoy the environment you're in. You are so much more immersed in the sound and the experience of the aquatic life, of the water, of the wind, than you would otherwise be. And it really gives you a new level of understanding and enjoyment of that generally beautiful nature area you've gone into to enjoy yourself. What an electric motor does is that it gives you all this power in a vibrationless, soundless way. A well-thought-out, well-designed system has 100% of the torque available all the time. You don't have to build up to it, you have it. So when you pump the throttle, you are out there and your whole shot is amazing. It takes your center of gravity right out from under you, and it gives people that what they call the EV grin. You just start laughing, you can't help it. You're so conditioned to think that you first need vibration, then need noise, and then you start going somewhere. And in this case, your center of gravity just shoots right out from under you. And it's a wonderful feeling. You can still talk to each other. You're hearing the sound of the water and the wind and the waves instead of just hearing engine noise and vibrations. And it gives you really a chance to be in tune with that nature that you're actually out there to enjoy. Plus, not having to visit the pump is actually a great thing. Your battery will eat electricity from any source that you provide. I mean, who loves sitting around on your knees with a jerry can? We have better control over the boat. We have a better experience while we're out driving. Plus, we also have the knowledge that we're part of new technology. It is just way cool. Our mission is to make beautiful, fast, and fun electric boats. There's nothing more fun than taking these new technological developments and putting them into classic designs and having people shoot away with a big smile and an EV grin.
So it's actually driving very well.
Yes, yeah.
But I had just replaced one of those pedals because we're stocking the pedals now. I wanted to try one out and see how it really drove, and it's very nice.
Yeah, they're nice pedals. Yeah.
And so the low car pedal is going to be a thing for us. The other thing is I so admired the running boards on the green thing. I have to throw one leg kind of up in the air and over the
transom there.
The transom
Yeah, kind of
into the wheel well, and then I can kind of shift into the car, and so it's not terrible to get in and out of, but I do have to throw a leg up. If I had a running board, I could just step up on it.
Yes.
And sort of throw an ankle over it. It'd be a lot easier. And I so admired those on the green one. And I had been online looking for them a few months ago and was unable to find them. Brain found them in about 20 seconds. The exact same running board.
Exact same running boards, yeah.
And so has just had any luck stiffening it up.
Yeah, he's putting them on. I found some little washers. We're gonna replace a couple of their washers. Actually, I thought shock absorber grommets will be perfect. I got him in today, so he's been working on the green thing, but he's going to put those running boards on, and you will be a yellow thing running boarded.
I'm pleased to report that it's running very well with the Siemens motor and inverter. We did have this mysterious thing where it's like the pedal would just go dead.
Okay,
and so replacing the pedal was part of that. Let's get that and the front wiring out of the way.
Okay.
Now, and it's very intermittent. It happens about once every couple of weeks.
Okay.
But
maybe it was the pedal, huh?
It could have been the pedal itself.
Yeah.
And so let's get that out of the room.
Yeah, then we know, yeah.
And we redid the wiring with Deutsch plugs instead of our little spade things. So that's out of it.
Yeah.
So up front's out of the game. If it happens anymore, we're probably looking at our connectors, which were kind of hand put together for the JevQ on the back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that wiring there.
Probably do it there. Okay. Yeah.
If not, we may have a software glitch in the JevQ somewhere.
Okay.
About the pedal, and I'll have to keep an eye on that. Some of these things can be kind of subtle, particularly when they come up like every 2 or 3 weeks of driving.
Yeah.
But it points up the importance of actually using the stuff you run your mouth about and sell it
That's
in your
right.
store.
Got to use it exactly.
And so that's a little mystery we're going to pursue with some vigor. But the car's driving very nicely.
Yeah.
It's been so freaking hot.
Yes,
since
I know.
the show.
Yes.
We're heading into fall, and that should be a delight. I have no idea why I've fallen so in love with this thing. Only me and Jeff Southern know. It's like, yes, it's stupid, but we love this car. It's just like
the thing.
More fun to hop in and go than you just kind of hop into it, take off, and it's And now I can hop better with running boards. And so I'm still wanting to talk to Jeff about maybe getting him to help me with a heater.
Okay.
On the green one. Let's take a look at our green thing comparison.
Okay. See some progress.
Braden, I like the green thing. It's in good shape.
It is.
We do not have the rust we had on the Karmann Ghia.
No, I don't think we'll ever see that rust again.
I hope not. However, Jess had a good idea. Now that he's made a couple of battery boxes with primer, and the truck bed liner didn't fall off.
He's never going to live that down, is he?
He's got where he kind of likes truck bed liner. And his idea is he's been in here bead blasting.
He has. We got a little
all our
blaster,
running gear and some of our stuff, priming it with black paint, and then we're going to hit it with bed liner in here.
Okay, all right, that'll look cool.
And that should look cool and shut down all future rust.
Yes, yes.
He's been working on our horns there for the transmission,
Yes.
and our trailing links for the running gear. I'm told you've gone into a parts purchasing
I went into
spasm.
I went into a frenzy.
A frenzy?
It was a feeding frenzy.
What do we got coming?
We have from the front to the rear wheel bearings, brake drums, brakes, brake lines. We'll order a steering box today, just in case.
Just because the Karmann Ghia. Yeah, no, let's just change it.
Every
These
seal.
VW parts are remarkably inexpensive.
There's just a lot of them.
And, well, not really. It's a pretty simple device. We're not going to upgrade this to disc brakes.
No.
Because we never use the brakes at all.
No.
We use regenerative braking.
Yeah.
But I do want either blasted and turned.
Oh,
these
I
hubs are
ordered
just
new
getting
drums.
loose. How much is a drum for
$245.
each?
Yeah.
We should have blasted and turned.
Well,
these.
we can always send them back.
That's $1,000 in
I
brake
know.
drums. He did get carried away. But wheel kits and new shock absorbers and bearings.
Yes,
and,
new shocks, bearings, seals all the way
yeah,
around.
let's get all our running gear sorted out. Going in, we've sent the transmission out.
Transmission's out.
And
Sent the
so-
Rancho. Yeah.
So we'll shoot the pan underneath and this compartment with bed liner.
Okay.
Black, it'll pretty much disappear.
Yeah, we will. It'll
And
disappear.
you won't even be able to see it. The and then get all the running gear sorted out, and we're going to. This will be a little tidier whenever you do a second version of the same build. It gets a little better. Our 72 amp hour batteries are not as much smaller than the 60s as you would think. They're similar in size, not as thick. And so we're going to have the same 3 battery boxes.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to wind up with some room left over in the front battery box.
Oh, nice.
And what I intend to do with that is kind of shelve off the batteries with a piece of metal and then mount the contactor, the inertia switch, the shunt, that sort of thing inside the battery box.
Oh, that'll be
where
cool.
it's not scattered
Yeah.
all over the engine compartment. And I love the way Jeff did his heater.
Yeah, that was
So
cool.
we're going to put our Brusa charger and our DC to DC converter somewhere back here.
Okay.
Maybe where we were putting our, the heat sinks on the yellow one didn't
Right.
work out too well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to use a big dual loop one from our multi-kit underneath as we did the last one. And so that'll give us room on each side for the Brusa charger and the DC to DC converter, and that frees up that whole front area. It'll look quite clean, 2 boxes in it.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
And maybe a 12-volt fuse block or something. And then the rest of it will be devoted to heater.
Mm-hmm.
And either we'll get Jeff Southern to make us one,
That would be nice, Jeff.
or go back and find what video he was in and see if I can figure out how he did it and show Jesse we want that same thing.
Okay.
He got good heat out of it. With our hardtop
That'd be nice.
and better windows, we should be able to, at least in cooler weather, be able to make it. Here you can see our running boards that Brian was talking about. They really did a good job of putting them on this vehicle. And So that's put us in mind to do them on the yellow thing. And so that's how this one will ride. But I don't think we have to do anything with the running boards here. The paint's nice. It's clearly been redone, almost the same color. And so we should be in pretty good shape. So this should come along pretty quickly. I think that'll do it for things today. Let's go talk about something else. Not near the rust.
No,
that we had on the Karmann Ghia.
No, not near that.
It's actually very nice.
Yeah, it's actually in good shape.
66,000 original miles, but there's some stuff under there that hadn't been done in a while.
Right. Yeah.
And so we're gonna do a complete bearing drum axles,
the whole thing, shocks,
transmission, shock
transmission,
absorbers,
everything,
steering box.
Steering box, yes, ordered a steering box.
Get one.
It's
New
on its
steering
way.
box, just because. Humor me.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, they're $119, right?
They're right. There may be rust in it.
I don't want to look inside. I just change it. The VW parts on the running gear are, I hate to characterize it as a trivial expense, but except for the drums,
Those are kind of good. They have good German drums.
But the rest of it is pretty. What's a bearing? $12.
Yeah, 12, $13. Yeah.
Wheel kit is $11 and this sort of thing.
Yeah, it's not bad. Master cylinder's $50 or something.
Right. So, let's just do all that and be done with it. Again, the purpose of moving the green thing to the head of the queue is I want to wind up with a brace, a pair of a matched pair of things, one with a Siemens motor, one with a EQM Power Phase 100,
yes.
And we'll be able to compare the two vehicles fairly straight up.
Yeah, they'll be very, very close.
If you can get the same gearing on that transmission, it'd be a big play.
We'll get it. We will get same gearing.
We're going to probably go with the 72 amp hour cells. I can't get them. The Cam 80s I keep talking about. I talked to Keegan this week. He's just had a slow summer, so he's not been very attentive to reordering and getting batteries in.
Or else he's playing too much golf.
Something. So the Cam 80s that were supposed to be coming the 1st of September, more likely the 1st or 2nd week of October.
Okay.
Now, I kind of squalled and hollered, that sometimes makes him speed up.
Yeah. A little fire going on.
If I really pout. So we're going to use Cam 72s. It doesn't matter much on the thing. He's not selling very many of them. We're not either. But we're using quite a few of them.
We've got a few, that's right.
And I have plans for 240 Cam 80s for my two boats.
Yes.
And I think Anna's going to want a set of them for his. And so we're over 300 cells in-house.
Just right there, yeah.
That we have to have. And so, yes, they're more expensive. They're also smaller.
Yes.
And I think they'll do a dandy job with what we want to do. But in the thing, it doesn't matter a lot.
No, and we've got 60 amp hours in the yellow thing, so if we do 72s, it'd be a good comparison.
It'll be good. It'll keep from skewing things too much.
They're going to skew a little bit anyway, yeah.
We'll have the same 3 battery boxes. We won't need quite as much room as we had with the 60s, believe it or not. So we'll build some of the things into the front box that we had with batteries, like our shunt, fuse, our inertia switch, our front contactor, main contactor.
Yeah, put them in the battery box.
In the box, and that'll tidy things up there and make room for Jeff's heating system.
Okay, good, nice.
And so that's the plan. But while under there, Jesse's discovered a inexpensive bead blaster.
Yes, our $20 bead blaster.
And has been going bananas, taking off rust and
a little surface rust and stuff.
Find.
Yeah,
and then spray it with a bed liner.
He has.
It should be very nice.
Yes.
So that's the green thing and the yellow thing and the Karmann Ghia. Anna is still not over the show. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. But he's still selling, and it was indeed a exhausting event.
Absolutely.
But it was pretty cool.
It was great.
So let's take a look at Anna's basic take on the show.
All right.
Well, hey EVTV, hier is Anne Koppenborg. Back from Cape Girardeau in Missouri and ready for your EVTV Amsterdam update. Listen, last week at the shop, it's been a mad scramble getting ready for our next boat show, the EVTV, here in Amsterdam from the 2nd till 7th of September. But before we look forward, let's look back a little bit. EVcon 2014, well and truly over. I'm wearing the t-shirt. But man, what a great week that was. For all you viewers out there that weren't there or have missed previous EVcons, my commiserations to you. Not only do you have to wait an extra week for the next EVTV Fix, your weekly show, but you miss out on this fantastic week of EV jam-packed goodness that, man, I can just hardly describe. Between the sessions, the vendors coming, meeting all the new builders, meeting all your friends again after a year away and seeing each other's builds, checking out the cars, taking them out for play day, parade day, and now even Sykeston's Dragway Day. Man, oh man, is that just the greatest week ever. Don't take my word for it. I took a little video along the way and made a compilation so I can replay for myself and show all those on the fence or that have never been. They really need to be there next year. So let's take a look.
That is too cool. Oh, that's a new kind of EV grin, man. That is just so cool. Porsche with the double 34.
That's it. You got it. Keep going. Shift now. Go. That's it. Keep going. That's it. Come on. Go. You got him. You got him. You got him. You got him. Go through it. All right. You got him. There you go.
Salt and battery. Here. The view you must... Ah, player like a piano.
Ready? Yes, sir. John Metric just made my day. Glad to be snug in here.
First gear only.
Only first gear.
Here's your first EV. Go.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. Yeah.
Get a picture of you. This has got to go on your webpage.
That'd be cool.
I'm trying to say between the taxiway.
Oh man, these toys are the best. Jason Horak's warp-powered Daytona.
It's all down to warp.
We have a very consistent 9.3 action going on here. What have you been running, Mikey? High eights?
8.8.
Yep.
Like I was supposed to, because it was already green and he's telling me to go, and I'm like, but I can't. So because I was running with a 4,000 slew rate, and so we'll go under, we'll go back to our drag race configuration here, and we'll change it from 4,000. We'll make it maybe 3,000.
Well, there you have it, guys. It is an event like no other, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. In fact, dates for next year are now set. 29th of September, a Tuesday. It will all begin again, probably a couple of days before that even. And I just got to say, you got to be there. And to all my friends that I've met there, let's see you next year. So, looking forward. Next week, as I said, we have a new boat show that we'll be attending. HISFA, it's called again, just like March this year, but there's always a two-part to the HISFA. There is the boat show interior, where you exhibit your boats and your wares in a large convention hall. And there's what we call the Natte HISFA, the wet HISFA, which is out behind Central Station in the water. And together with our Electric Boating Holland Association, we have a stand where we'll be able to exhibit both the Silverback and the Delta. So this time we'll be able to not only show what we have going on, but we'll be able to put some asses in the seats and give some people EV grins, let them see what it's all about. Of course, getting ready for a big show, you need to do some buffing, some shining, but also some fine-tuning and making sure everything's ready to rock and roll. That gave me an excuse to go out in the Silverback this week, and me and Frans Heijn owner and operator, took her through her paces and made sure she is still the fine craft that we know her to be. We tweaked some battery settings, needed to put the max pack amperage up a little bit so we have that oomph. Up out of the water, but otherwise she's really all ready to rock and roll, and I think people will have great fun feeling what that's like. Of course, the Delta needs to be ready as well. Well, let's not even talk about the big snafu of new Delta arriving at Jack. He has told you about this, and we are dealing with it. I'm dealing with the heartbreak, but we will be looking forward to making the next Delta and making things right. Old Delta right here, was without a prop because I took the well-working prop with me to the States, and we have now decided to test out a new 4-bladed prop and see if in our preferred mode of operation, see if around 40 kilometers an hour we are actually a little bit more efficient, possibly, but mostly if we can get that acceleration time down even a bit. With 4 blades, you have more grip on the water, more place to put that torque, and less chance of creating a lot of cavitation. Got a couple of pictures of her on there. I haven't been able to take her out yet, but we're hoping for good weather this weekend so that we don't go to the boat show completely unprepared. Otherwise, all systems are go for both Silverback and Delta, and we should make a good show of it next week. Laying behind me is the Jeep, the CJ5, which should have been going for road legal testing, but she's actually been completely disassembled. Raymond didn't make EVcon this year because he also had to stay back at the shop and keep our time frame for building that Jeep CJ5. Now it turns out that in the pre-test, the VIN number that's in the chassis, it's not where it's supposed to be. Some powder coat the chassis that he filled up the VIN number and painted right over it. They have a way of telling what was originally there, and to make sure that this is not a stolen car. We're quite sure it isn't. But now we have to wait until the 11th of September to do a identification test. Well, for us, the bad comes with the good. 2 weeks of delay means that we have a little more time to focus on the boat show and make sure we pull that off right. Soon after, we should have the Jeep back and making her a rolling project instead of a big paperweight filling up the shop here. Well, from Amsterdam, that's our quick update this week. I hope you all are back to your builds. We're going to be building our asses off, and I hope to see you next week. Take it easy.
Anna is enthusiastic.
If nothing else.
Yeah, no, that was he showed you a lot of what was going on at the show.
It'll be very interesting to see. I think that wet show you have to kind of be invited to.
Oh, really? The boat show?
Yeah, I think he got invited.
Nice.
After the spring.
Because that's right, because they went to the other show in the spring, yeah.
And so he's going to be showing 2 boats in the water, electric, quiet, and moving on out.
That's great. And it was nice seeing the Silverback. I hadn't seen that boat in a while.
It is pretty.
It's a really nice boat.
Wish we could afford one of those.
Yeah, that was a nice boat. And that's the one in the ad, too, that we run for him on EVTV.
I think they're about 100 bare.
Really? Oh, my goodness.
But it's a pretty boat.
It really is a beautiful boat.
You never know if I sell an airplane or something.
There you go.
To do something like that. That's pretty much our show this week.
Okay.
I have been totally absorbed in JevQ. This is
all week.
Turning into a personal nightmare. I spent probably 2.5 full days. We got a new version and had to wait on it of this wireless module that goes in it. What a pain in the ass. These Israelis, I mean, you'd think they've got nothing to do but sit around wait for missiles to come in from Hezbollah. There's electronics, guys.
Yeah, that's right. There's electronics to do.
So I had to wait on these boards. I ordered 140 of them. I got them. They have software put in the 5th of July. It doesn't work. The thing just does not work.
Oh, no.
I contact their support. The first thing they tell me is, oh, you got to upgrade your firmware. What do you mean I got to upgrade my firmware? I've just got the boards from Arrow. Arrow waited until they got them from you. They shipped them on to me the same day.
Yeah, they're like brand new boards.
They have July software. Yeah. Well, this is July 30th is the new date.
Uh-oh.
So I've got to flash these onto 140 boards.
Is that what you got to do?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, man.
And worse, see, you can flash it, the new firmware, when you have it up by radio.
Okay.
Well, but it doesn't come up. That's the problem.
Oh, no.
So you have to flash it by serial port, and this gets us into a labyrinthine, unbelievable mess of real serial ports and Windows XP, which hasn't been installed on a computer since the 90s. This is why, I actually have a little XP computer around here because of all the crap that people put with their devices, and then never update and never upgrade, really.
Yeah.
And you wind up, you have to have a legacy computer to run their ancient software that never did work very well.
No, didn't Microsoft just stop supporting XP2 a couple months ago?
April.
Oh, April, yeah.
Yeah, they cut off all support.
Like,
in
what's
fact,
that about?
I ordered another laptop. You remember Panasonic maybe had this tough laptop, like a mil-spec laptop?
Yeah, like the big thick one with
magnesium case and all that. Well, they're going for not very much. I think I paid about $800. These used to be $5,000.
Yeah.
And with Windows XP on it, a real serial port.
Imagine that, huh? How quaint.
It's like revisiting my youth.
There you go.
This is
it's like an 8-track.
100 years ago. And I have to have this to be able to deal with these. And the whole purpose of the wireless card, ironically, is because I don't want to do this to anybody. Our JevQ is designed to be configured, but it's any device with a browser. I don't care if it's a, like a toilet device or something. If it does wireless,
if it does wireless, tablet or anything,
has a browser, you'll be able to configure the JevQ and update the wireless. Even.
That's cool. That's a good feature.
And so it's just kind of crazy that that's the reason is that we went that way, was to try to do this. Even I've got a little charger controller for the TCCH chargers. You would not believe the guys that simply cannot rise a terminal program on Windows.
Uh-oh.
And I'm sorry, guys, I'm not doing Windows product support. This is a bad part of my past. I went from Windows to Linux. I was in Linux for years. Now Apple, Mac OS X. It's enough of a penalty for my sins by itself.
That's right.
Right.
You don't want to have another intervention.
I've been waiting for something to load, something to save, or something to print since 1979.
That's right.
And
it's over.
Mac OS X is the final penance for all my early sins. And I'm not going back to Windows and doing product support for it. You don't need an electric car that bad for me to have to do that.
Do Windows.
If you can't get a terminal program up in Windows, I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Yeah, it is an electric car.
And we do have JevQ has a USB port, and we have everything can be configured through that in normal text. So the wireless thing is almost specious. We almost don't need it, except that a lot of guys can't do a terminal. ASCII text through USB. They don't have a. They have programs on their computer. They just don't know.
They don't know where they are.
Where they are or what they are because they haven't had to do that in years.
Yeah, and Microsoft's buried them in the operating systems. They can't find them.
And to go back to 8 data bits, no stop bit, one no parity bit, one stop bit, hardware control or X on, X off, the 16550 UARTs and stuff. This is like your grandfather's Oldsmobile. Nobody does that anymore. We used to live that in the BBS and early days of ISPs, and it's all gone. And gratefully, USB and Bluetooth are cool.
There's
a reason we do that today, and but that's so I've been wrestling with absurdities.
Yes, I know. I know
absurdities with these Israeli Connect One company, and they're but it's a unique wireless device.
It is, and you're getting there. It's
very small and actually has another ARM3 processor.
Oh my!
And a Broadcom now wireless radio, and so it maintains the whole website and no load on our unit at all.
Right, that's cool. That is really cool.
We want to save our CPU cycles to deal with the inverter in the car.
Right.
Not a website that nobody's on, 999.
Yeah, you're never on except to update it, to change it.
Once a year.
Yeah, set it and forget it.
And so this little device mines that day in and day out without interfering with the rest of it. And I haven't been able to find anything similar that does just that in that way. It's in quantities over 100. It's $43 of your JevQ cost.
Oh, okay.
And if you get them onesie twosies, they're over $60. But it's kind of a unique device, and but I'm struggling with it again in their latest, newest version. But it is much smaller and much smaller footprint, and we'll see how reliable it proves. So we're right now out of JevQs. I don't have any in the shop. We're also out of TCCH controllers. So I'm all of a sudden playing printed circuit board and software to the exclusion of almost everything else. And everything I go to do that ought to be easy, it won't do it all.
It won't do it
I had
at
to
all.
buy a $300 evaluation board with some special cabling to be able to burn these this firmware, and it took me 3 hours this afternoon to do 35 of them for the next run of JevQs. And I've been fighting this all week. Ed's been fighting it.
Yep.
Colin, Paulo's still on vacation.
Ah, okay. Wait till you get back, Paulo.
Should be one at his house when he returns.
That's right.
Hell. And so, but some neat things coming down the pike. I believe this is the future for EVTV, and for a lot of us in a lot of ways. We're going to have to work off this electronics end of it and make it easy for our viewers, but mostly to crack this pile of sort of blingy looking junk.
Yeah, it's going to be either coming down the pike or
We
it's here.
found this Lear charger that's in the Codas, is in everything. It's in the Volt, it's in the Spark, it's in the Smart ED. They're everywhere, and there's no information about it anywhere.
Not a lick.
You can't find anything. Not a data sheet. If anybody knows about the Lear charger, we're real curious. But Mark and Byron and
Isambard,
Rich,
they're working on it. Yep.
Kind of gradually getting there. We've got
Good.
the connectors kind of worked down and to the parts, and and they're interesting connectors. It actually, as it's not only a charger, in a lightweight application, or if you had two of them, I guess, it'll do 30 amps of 13 volts output. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So
Acts like a little auxiliary DC
to DC, yeah.
converter.
Interesting.
And so I'm not sure how all that works, but I believe it'll do it from the pack voltage.
Okay.
Not maybe it's just from the AC input. We're still playing with it.
Great.
But it's kind of interesting. So maybe we'll just use it to power our CAN controller for it.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Paulo and I have been working on a CAN shield. He's got the JLD 505. I bricked mine.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
oh,
I
no.
corrupted the bootloader. Turns out these little Arduinos, I'm like, why didn't you just use a Dewey chip? You know, but he used a little one, and I corrupted the bootloader. It worked fine, but I couldn't update the software. I kept getting a AVR dude out of sync, so I had to get a little AVR programmer now. It's kind of like the deal with the wireless modules to be able to reprogram that. So I ordered that on eBay. And so a lot of little annoyances. They're not even hurdles. They're just
stuff keeps
little
coming
annoying
up.
things.
Yeah.
But I'm learning along the way.
Gotta love it.
And so we should be there, but we'll have a little BMS and a big BMS and a CAN bus shield for the Arduino Dewey, maybe a couple of different versions of that. Paulo and I are kind of working on one that'll have a micro SD socket, so we can log CAN data massively.
Okay, well, yeah, wow,
To
okay.
a little card.
To a little
like we
card,
use in
yeah.
the cameras. And so Colin has got done. I haven't looked at it yet. It's again a Windows program, but
May never see it.
well, he's got a CAN analyzer he's working on.
Oh, cool.
And so if you take a JevQ or just a CAN shield and hook it up to your OBD2 or your CAN buses, which can be the same thing, but are not necessarily.
Not necessarily,
so.
yeah, right.
And then log that, and he'll have an analysis program that will show graphs of data and the bytes in various formats, binary and hex and decimal and so forth, filters, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So, for example, on the Smart ED, I want to disconnect I want to run a CAN log and run a CAN log with the battery disconnected.
Oh, see how different it looks.
And see what the difference is.
Yeah.
And that gets me closer to identifying the battery and BMS,
Sure.
message IDs and contents.
Right.
And then I take that data, and I don't really want to be sitting in the car. We'll take it and go sit down with a computer and go through it.
And then plow through it, yeah.
Yeah, I do a lot of it kind of ugly way in Microsoft Excel, but he's going to make it a little easier to do my shape shifting. And, like I'll just sort by the message ID. So I've got all the 5 1s here, and I can just go through and see how they change without anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then maybe use that one and another one and interleave them and see how they're talking back and forth to each other without all the other ones.
Right.
Problem with CAN data analysis is you wind up with too much of it.
Yeah.
A second's worth of CAN data can be a couple hundred messages.
Yeah. Wow.
And this is
A lot
like
to sort
5
through.
screens full of stuff for a second.
Yeah. That's a lot to deal with.
And it's so you have to have ways of drilling down into it. And I'm not good at it like Colin is, so maybe he'll make me some software
make
where
something
I will
up.
and that would be dandy for me. Let's call it a short show. I did find an old guy with a build that I don't know anything about.
Okay.
It was just on YouTube, and somebody sent me a link, and I thought it was kind of cool.
All right.
So I'm going to show that here at the end, and Maybe I'll splice on a few things after the music.
After the music, okay. You never know.
If I can find anything interesting.
Yeah.
But that's it for us for August the 29th.
Yes.
And it's Labor Day. And due to a water main breakage up at the school, both the Southeast students and our wives are having a big, long Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, that's right. They went to work for 2 days.
Not so
and got
much for
5
being
off.
Brian, but for the rest of them.
No.
And so that's kind of an interesting thing. So stay with us, and we'll see you all next week, sometime in September, as hopefully weather cools down.
And that's what I'm hoping. I always wanted to say this. Leave a light on for you.
My name is Al Swackhammer. I live in Edmonds, Washington, which is an outskirt of Seattle. My first love with Audi was due to the Quattro. Since the 1984 Quattro, I have not owned anything but either a Volkswagen or an Audi. The latest car is a 1960 DKW 1000S, badged as an auto union. It was a love at first sight. It's just a remarkable piece of art. In the Northwest, we pride ourselves of being green and environmentally conscious. So I decided to make it an electric car. I'm not sure that I figured it would be perfect or work perfectly, but I never had any doubts that it would work. I've become very attached to this car. I know it like the back of my hand, having taken it completely apart, massaged it, and put it all back together. I am pleased that I did this project. I am heartfelt that I was able to bring this car back to new, and I enjoy driving it very dearly. And I am Al Swackhammer from Edmonds, Washington.
For a number of years now, work has been proceeding in order to bring perfection to the crudely conceived idea of a transmission that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument is the turbo encabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it is produced by the modial interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive diractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panametric fam. The latter consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus O-delta type placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator, every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible Tremie pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the Grammys. The turboencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of no-for trunnions. Moreover, whenever a fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal repleneration. It's not cheap, but I'm sure the government will buy it.
Here at Chrysler Motors Automotive Operations, research has been proceeding to develop a line of heavy-duty transmissions that establishes new standards for reliability, durability, and quality. With customer needs as our primary focus, work is proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal grammeters. Such an instrument is the turboencabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive diractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fam. The latter consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus O delta type, placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator, every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible tremie pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the grammeters. The turboencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of no-for trunnions. Moreover, whenever a fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. Thank you.
Thanks, Bud. Now that we know how the turboencabulator works, let's take a closer look at its diagnosis and service. For the purposes of obscurity, we have removed the casing to expose the heart of the turboencabulator, the magneto-reluctance modial interactor. Since little or nothing is known about the principles involved in magneto-reluctance, diagnosing faults can be a problem. Connect a DRB2 to the aft end of the MOXIE interrupter using special adapter WUPD2, making sure the osmolality of the phase detractors is not extrapolated. Begin the test by selecting model year, transmission systems, and turboencabulator run test. If there are any system faults, they will be displayed in secret code on the DRB2 display. It's a simple head code. Anyone can catch it. The most common fault is sigmoid rumbling below the belt line, which the customer will refer to as a burping or even a hiccuping noise. To service this fault, refer to the Turboencabulator Diagnostic Procedures Manual and Songbook and perform test TE10. Using the Geiger scale on the DRB2, measure the wrench-in output of the capacitive reactance flux muster. If it is above 10 RGs, replace the unit. If it is below 10 RGs, you will be directed to perform a series of tests that will effectively raise the billable hours for the service department, but will perform no other useful function. All other faults should be treated as if they do not exist, and the customer should be told that the burping or hiccuping is normal and is caused by too much gas in the fuel system. Well, that's about it for this month's Master Tech. Be sure to watch next month when we'll cover ashtray and cigarette lighter operation, diagnosis, and repair. See you then. Here at Rockwell Automation's World Headquarters, research has been proceeding to develop a line of automation products that establishes new standards for quality, technological leadership, and operating excellence. With customer success as our primary focus, work has been proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only provide inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal grammeters. Such an instrument comprised of Dodge gears and bearings, Reliant electric motors, Allen Bradley controls, and all monitored by Rockwell software is Rockwell Automation's Retroencabulator. Now basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial interaction of magnetoreluctance and capacitive diractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fan. The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes, so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus-O deltoid type placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator. Every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible Tremi pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the gram meters. Moreover, whenever fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. The retroencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Milford trunnions. It's available soon wherever Rockwell Automation products are sold.